What is going on with the Baltimore Ravens? After 4 weeks, they are 1-3, and that's not even the biggest concern. The injuries for them are piling up after their latest loss to the Kansas City Chiefs.
Here's what's wrong with the Baltimore Ravens. They played 3 Super Bowl contenders. They've lost all 3. And the team that they won against was the Cleveland Browns, who they absolutely demolished. So when you're looking at what's wrong with the Baltimore Ravens, it's not necessarily what they're doing wrong. You got to nitpick at is obviously who they're playing. This looks like the Baltimore Ravens. They generally do. But after last week's game against the Kansas City Chiefs, the injuries are piling up. They just not look like themselves in that game. And with Lamar being out, the offense was already cold in that game. Like you said, it's the injuries. The only reason there's a panic mode in Baltimore right now is because of the injuries. Other than that, it's not like they got absolutely decimated by the Lions. They blew it against the Bills, and they dominated who they need to dominate. So the Baltimore Ravens are fine, but these injuries and how they piled up and the potential extent of these injuries is the main reason why that there is panic button mode. It's time to hit the panic button in Baltimore.
It is time to hit the panic button. And Lamar Jackson aside, first of all, week 1, blew it against the Bills, had that game won. Derrick Henry, at this moment, kind of looks like he's aging because the fumbles have been a problem at the early part of this season for him, right? So they easily should have been 1-0, 2-0 heading into the Detroit game. Even the Detroit game, they were what? They were up at certain points, then they became down. Jahmyr Gibbs, David Montgomery. That was the problem. They ran down their throats. And the big reason why was because Nnamdi Madubuike is now officially in the IR. He missed that game. He missed the Chiefs game. That's how they were able to run the ball through their throats. That's a big concern right there off the bat. We're like, damn, okay. But then don't worry, we have Lamar Jackson. You could have Superman. You could make plays and all that. This Chiefs game, the Chiefs have been not great. Even the win they had against the New York Giants, not great. And we're going to talk about the Chiefs in a sec after we talk about the Baltimore Ravens here. But once again, Steve Spagnuolo finds a way to game plan very well against Lamar Jackson and these Baltimore Ravens. And even before the injury, yes, his counting stats, 40 for 20, whatever. But like the pick, right? I get a great play.
That was a great pick.
It was a great pick by Chanel, but it was also a hard throw to make because he was pressured, right? And he gave the chance, but the reason why that throw happened was because he was pressured. And then, like, obviously the throwaway after that because he was getting pressured again. And then, obviously, he goes down, and then the Chiefs look like the Kansas City Chiefs. And that's where it's getting concerning because in that Chiefs game, they lost Nate Wiggins. They already don't have Jair Alexander playing. He only played the Buffalo game. And they lost Marlon Humphrey. And they had Kyle Van Noy out as well.
So, like we said, and here's where we're going to transition to the Chiefs. The reason why in our week 3 video or week 2 video we didn't hit the panic mode on our 0-2 teams and Kansas City Chiefs were one of those teams is because we knew that they had 2 key pieces on the offensive side that were missing, right? And one of them returned, Xavier Worthy, and he proved that he was a very well-touted asset for these guys. Nice little gadget player and end arounds. And then when it comes down to his receiving ability and route running and obviously the deep plays, he's obviously involved in that as well. So that just made a huge difference. They're waiting on Rashee Rice, who's going to be back in 2 weeks. So with that, the Chiefs offense should look more like the Chiefs offense that we've seen in years past because they have 2 legit playmakers on the outside. And the benefit of that is that will help open up Travis Kelce even more because we know at this point in time, Travis Kelce can't carry the load weapon-wise like he once used to. But with the help of Xavier Worthy that game, they also helped open up the offense. And then with the help of Rashee Rice coming back, this Chiefs offense and Chiefs teams are going to look perfectly fine. And like you said, Spagnuolo and the defense are still doing their thing. And because of that, the Chiefs are fine. So if that was the case for the Ravens, I would say the same thing, right? They're 1-3. They played Super Bowl contending teams, like all the things that we said about the Chiefs. But the issue is they have no quarterback. All 3 of their key cornerbacks are out. And right now they lost quite possibly their best defender, if not second best behind Roquan Smith and Madubuike.
Kyle Hamilton as well, he could consider. But Like Kyle Hamilton's there, but I mean like.
Oh, he's not injured though. Yeah.
I mean like after top 3 defender. Let's just say that. To your point to Kansas City, before I go transition back to Baltimore, you forgot one key player that stepped up for them, Tyquan Thornton. I understand, like, yes, the offense didn't look the greatest. We saw what happened in Brazil against the Chargers. The second week against the Eagles, obviously not great. I had concerns with them defensively as well. Even the Giants game, it was just they're lucky they faced the Giants. Otherwise, that could have been I'm not gonna say blowout, but that could have been a loss for them as well, because there were moments where.
Well, that was first half only. Second half they looked like their own.
But like we knew that they were gonna come back at some point, right? Their offense should come back. You're getting Rashid Rice back, like you said. Tyquan Thornton is now a step. Like this team, I was like, yeah, they're getting Tyreek Hill. Get well soon to Tyreek Hill, because that was a nasty injury, and we know he's not going to get traded now. That's for sure, and he's most likely going to be out for the year. But yeah, so overall, this Chiefs. I guess I'll ask you this, and we're going to talk about the Chargers later on. They could easily get this division now, right? Like the Raiders are 1-3. As of this recording, the Broncos are playing. They should win that game, in my opinion, against the Bengals. Then they should be 2-2. They're already 2-2, and the Chargers lost the first game of the year, and they're 3-1. So we said it before that they should be able to win the division when they were 0-2, and the Chargers went 3-0. Now that with the Chargers' concerns slightly coming up, yes, these guys should be on track. Mahomes is now back in MVP conversations because that game he had was amazing. On top of that. And yeah, like overall, like everything should be right. The defense, I feel like, should be consistently.
They played their way back, and obviously the Giants beating the Chargers is a huge help, and it also does help when they beat the Giants as well. So getting help from an underdog victory is obviously a big step back, and that's what it was going to take. Chargers fumbling against a lesser opponent, and that's what they did. And because of that, the Chiefs are back in the conversation for the AFC West.
To close out this matchup as a whole, going back to Baltimore. We all know if Lamar Jackson ain't playing, you give him like a less than a 1% chance to do something, because
Ravens are cooked.
They're 1-3. The Bengals are gonna be 2-2 if they do lose this game to the Broncos, and the Cleveland Browns are 1-3. So the Steelers are 3-1, and the Steelers look good. They beat themselves in the Seahawks game, in my opinion.
We're getting this out of the way right now.
Yeah,
the Ravens are cooked. It's as simple as that. They're playing the Texans next, and that's not gonna be an easy game. I know they're 1-3. But that's not going to be an easy game still.
With their defense being decimated, yes.
When their defense being a top 10 defense.
Yeah.
And then the week after you got the Rams. You're looking at a 1-5 start. I'll be surprised if they win any of either of those games, unless CJ Stroud literally plays to the level of Cooper Rush.
If Lamar is good enough to play, which I shouldn't
he's
doubt,
not, bro.
because he's a hamstring.
It's a hamstring.
I'm just saying ESPN has it as questionable. But we are recording this on Monday.
If Lamar Jackson plays the next week, I'm telling you this right now. If Lamar Jackson plays the next week, he's risking season-ending injury. I know hamstring injuries.
They put it at questionable because it's Monday, right? They're not going off of anything, right? Because
he shouldn't be playing.
Yeah, what I'm saying is like we're projecting him not to be playing. We'll see what ends up happening down there. If he is good to play for whatever reason,
I'm picking the Texans.
No. I'm saying the defense.
Picking the Texans. It's not because of the defense. Lamar can't move. He can't run on a freaking pulled hamstring. Bro, this injury is serious. It's genuine. Yeah. Like obviously it's not like the Tyreek Hill or like the Malik Neighbors stuff, but like this injury is a lingering injury and needs to be treated properly. You can't get away with hamstring injuries. You just can't. So like there's no questionable. There's no wishy-washy shit here. If he plays, he's either risking more injury or they're not going to win. So it doesn't matter. He should sit out.
So that being said, are they done? Because we're anticipating him to be out.
Yeah. That's like what? Literally, I've been through this. You see me go through this. I played my soccer games the next week on hamstring injuries, and I further hurt myself another month. This is not like anything that's going to be done quick. The only way he could play properly is that he feels 100%. And if it's a proper pull like I had, or like, a proper pull hamstring is, he's definitely missing 2 weeks.
So the 2 weeks put it on 1-5.
Yeah.
Let's just say he misses like 1, 2, 3, 4 games up to the Dolphins. Okay, I'm going to say it. You said Texans win? Like Texans
winning.
Rams are winning?
Rams are winning.
So that's 1-5?
Yeah.
Bears.
Well, he could be back with Bears.
But I'm saying, let's just say he's out.
Then I would go with the Bears.
So 1-6.
Especially with other injuries.
And Dolphins.
I'll go with the Ravens.
Okay, so that's 2-6. Then they got Vikings, Browns, Jets, Bengals, Steelers twice. not too much of a super hard schedule. How they started off the year to close it out. Yeah, but if Lamar is out, the AFC is tough. We know the Chiefs are bouncing back. We know the Chargers should be good. And we'll get to them in a second here. Buffalo is the best of the division, team.
But
in the whole
let's not
conference.
elongate this, bro. They're cooked. It's just simple as that. They're in trouble, and we'll find out more of this extent of these injuries or how it is right now. But like, if I'm giving the situation right now and the reporting we have right now, they're screwed. It's just simple as that. There's no point of debating like what if. If these injuries are like what they're reported as, they might not make the playoffs. It's just simple as that.
Yeah, which is a shame. But let's move on to what we thought had a hot team to start the year, 3-0. The Los Angeles Chargers lose to Jackson Dart's first game. By the way, Jackson Dart, rushing wise, looked amazing. Could be better in passing, but we'll see how that ends up going over time. Unfortunately, get well soon to Malik Neighbors, torn ACL. He will not be his elite weapon now going forward, which sucks for the Giants there. But this team, 3-0, now they're 3-1. The reason why they ended up going 3-1, it was why people were questioning there at the beginning of the year. Rashawn Slater out. That was enough. But then Joe Alt stepped up big time. But now Joe Alt was in a boot in that game. Mekhi Becton was out. So that being said, Justin Herbert has been getting hit these last 2 weeks, and we saw how he kind of struggled last week a little bit, but had that good game-winning drive to Keenan Allen and then set up the field goal to beat the Denver Broncos. And then this Giants game, he was just like, listen, at the end of the day, you're playing that Giants D-line. Dexter Lawrence, amazing pick, by the way. Brian Burns got him to him. Kayvon Thibodeau was there. And then obviously, the rookie Abdul Carter got to him as well. Against that D-line, it was a rough day if their O-line is going to be decimated. And he did what he can. Unfortunately, this was one of his games where he had to turn over. He was probably MVP favorite, in my opinion, up until this week. But how much of a concern is this now if they cannot get this O-line rolling?
It's a concern for sure, 100%, especially when you're losing the good O-line players. It's not like Mekhi Becton solid, obviously Joe out, and Rashawn Slater, where is going to be out. The good news is the weapons group is actually really good.
Quentin Johnson, probably the biggest winner of the season so far.
Quentin Johnson looks really good. Amarian Hampton, now who has he's the bell cow, like Josh Jacobs is for the Green Bay Packers. Amarian Hampton these last 2 weeks has been incredible. So they could they could scheme their way out of this. Is obviously going to be very tough because if your O-line just needs to give you some sort of time, just 3 seconds. I know it's going to be hard right now with the injuries, but like 3 seconds you could, and with these playmakers that they have, and I know Lad McConkey hasn't really gone going, but Keenan Allen stepped up. Obviously, like we said, Quentin Johnson having a year, and with Amari and Hampton in the backfield, he has a proper run game. Just as long as just give him 3 seconds, it doesn't have to be anything like crazy. It's gonna have to be like last year's Justin Herbert, the beginning of the year, where the Chargers were leaning on the run game, where the Chargers were like getting the ball out of his hands. That's what the Chargers need to lean into now because of these injuries in the O-line, and they can't put it in Justin Herbert's hands. If they want to be successful, they got to get it out, get the football out of his hands quickly.
Obviously, you can't waste a loss on the Giants. I get that, but at least the loss came into the NFC side of things. So, and they're 3-0 in the division, regardless, right? So that's a big factor for them. They're not in the Baltimore Ravens case where they were chasing. They're ahead, right? The Broncos do not look amazing, even like in general, like this year. So like, I feel like they're a better team than them. We thought the Raiders would be better than what they are. Gino's struggling down there, so they should be able to hold it down. Let's see how long these injuries are. If Joe Alt is out for a while and Mekhi Becton's out for a while, that hurts the run game a little bit as well because the interior guard is the guard is Mekhi Becton, and their run game was a little bit struggling a little bit before even, but their schedule doesn't seem too hard, right? Obviously, they're going to play some tough games. You got the Vikings defensively. They should be able to get to Justin Herbert if that's the case. Steelers, even though their defensive have been a little bit disappointing, in my opinion, to start the year. Eagles, similar vibe. So, like, they should be fine. I'm not going to put the panic meter as much as I'm putting it on the Baltimore Ravens. But Justin Herbert healthy this year looks amazing. You want to make sure he can stay that way because last year when he was not healthy, we could see the limitations, even though he played amazing in the regular season. But this year we see the full healthy, really good O-line Justin Herbert. He was literally the MVP favorite in my opinion, heading before losing to the the New York Giants here.
Yeah, that's the situation for the Chargers. So they're going to have to lean back to their game plan like last year when they had J.K. Dobbins and just the beginning where they were getting the ball out of his hands. But before we move on to our next game here, which is going to be Micah Parsons' return, we'd appreciate if you guys smash a subscribe button and hit the like button if you're enjoying these videos. We're dropping our weekly reactions to every week of the NFL season. We're in week 4 right now. So hit the subscribe button, hit the like button if you guys are NFL fans. And let's move on to somehow one of the greatest tie games you'll ever see. Somehow one of the best games of the season so far.
The second
and the return of Micah Parsons to Dallas. And that wasn't the biggest story because the game ended in a 40-40 tie, which has never ever happened.
Which is also the second second highest scoring game for a tie. I don't know, since like sometime in the 90s, but the 1900s something. 43-43 was the highest. I think this is the first tie the Dallas Cowboys had in a long ass time as well. The biggest story, obviously, let's get to it. Micah returning was relatively quiet. Like we all thought like Micah's gonna come home and feast, right? Like we seen like how Luka Doncic returned to Dallas and feasted, right? Like he went nuts. That wasn't the case. When Micah did get hurt a little bit because he had the back injury a little bit. Like he went to the tent. But when they needed Micah most, Micah stepped up. And that overtime taking what was considered a sack, but I don't know if it actually, after review, became a sack on Dak Prescott to force the field goal in overtime for Brandon Aubrey instead of getting Dak to get a touchdown. And we'll talk about Dak in a second here as well. A little disappointed in terms of the quietness, like him not being a game wrecker. But again, it takes time, adjustments. The Green Bay Packers obviously coming off a tough loss against Cleveland, who at the end of the day, Cleveland's defense is still one of the best in the NFL statistically as well. But 40-40 is still nuts. Like we knew that Dallas, the only way they could win games or get a result, I guess in this case, is the shootout. And I was genuinely surprised they managed to do that because I thought Green Bay's defense was supposed to be way better. Their offense obviously did enough in my opinion. Got 40 points obviously. So I agree with Micah. He's pissed that he allowed 40 points, and I do agree with that because this Dallas team is only passing game was gonna be really good. Like Javonte Williams has surprised me so far this season. Don't get me wrong, but without CeeDee Lamb, like I understand. Like this is where the secondary was concerning. It showed because
the weakness is cornerback for the Green Bay Packers right now, and like you said, it showed. They couldn't stop George Pickens.
Shout out to him, man! What a game for him, and even like not even just George Pickens, Tolbert and Turpin.
Exactly, like that. Those are what I'm getting to. Like even Ferguson, who's been involved in the passing game this year, who was I think. Obviously, with Dak's injury last year, didn't get involved too much. But I thought they have the tight end to get the job done. And right now he's showing it with this elite passing offense. They have, like you said, even with CeeDee Lamb healthy, getting to George Pickens, getting a second guy, allowing some space for CeeDee Lamb, or if he is getting double covered, allowing George Pickens to allow one-on-one matchups, who we know is one of the best contested catchers in the league. And then, like you said, the speed of Turpin and Tolbert they've been amazing as well. And this all comes back down to this offense is actually really good. And then it also comes back down to Javonte Williams. They have some sort of run game. The pressure is not all on Dak. The pressure is not all on CeeDee Lamb or George Pickens in this pass game, right? That is the weapon. That's going to be their go-to no matter what. But if you're having Javonte Williams provided more than stability in this run game. He's been good in the red zone. He's finished off with touchdowns as well. He's getting yards whenever he can. This O-line is playing a little bit better than expected, which I thought was the only weakness of the offense, but they have been good enough.
And they've been Booker this game.
And yeah, exactly. And the biggest thing is this offense is keeping Dak upright and healthy, and you know that this guy should be able to distribute the ball, and he's been doing that all season long so far.
Listen, at the end of the day, is Dallas going to make the playoffs in my opinion? No, because that defense is still that atrocious. This was just... Listen, without CeeDee Lamb, I was genuinely surprised they were able to get that many points off against Green Bay. I thought they would be better on the D-line especially.
Yeah, no, this just shows... But... This game doesn't tell you about Dallas. This game tells you about the concerns on Green Bay's defense right now, which is weird to say because they absolutely demolished the Lions. Yeah. Right? Like their run game was absolutely neutralized. And we're seeing the Lions the last 3 weeks run on everyone. Yeah. So which is weird to see how quickly 1 month of the NFL changes a team, because before you're looking at it, okay, this bona fide Super Bowl, right? NFC Championship, probably Eagles and Packers. But right now, you're looking at it, they don't even have the division lead anymore.
Yeah, because like, I'll stick with the Green Bay here for a second. Are they legit contenders after seeing what they did? Because who did they play week 2 again?
The Commanders, and they destroyed them. They demolished them too.
And people thought, and like guys like yourself, I understand they had some concerns themselves. Or they thought the Commanders are supposed to be a legit team as well in the NFC. But then when you play Cleveland, listen, offensively Cleveland didn't do shit. We know that. It was like, what, 10-3 or whatever the final score was. But
13-10.
13-10. Cleveland's defense, and I know there was a punt block in there as well, so special teams was a factor in there. But Cleveland's defense, like I said, is no joke, right? Like, Cleveland's a whole different story. We're not going to get into it today, but like, if Cleveland just had a competent quarterback, they should be in the playoff conversation and challenging as of right now, the Pittsburgh Steelers for the division. Like, I don't think you could disagree with that take at all, because their defense is that legit, led by Myles Garrett, Denzel Ward, and all these guys. But, so like, yes, it was concerning. Like, we saw Baltimore destroy them. We saw this week Detroit handled Detroit handled Cleveland. You expected that better from Green Bay as well. And then now you go into this game. Many people, including myself, were like, yeah, they should be able to win this game because, listen, CeeDee Lamb's out. You only have to mark one guy. And that couldn't be done. It was a 40-40 game. You're lucky that some plays fell down to you. I was a little annoyed that like the way they ran the clock in overtime just to make it look like they wanted to play for the tie.
Don't be a little annoyed, boy. Be annoyed. Yeah. That was terrible.
Like the clock management, I thought I'm the Colts and that Broncos game was terrible. This was even worse. Like it generally felt like they were going to play for the tie, and this team is good enough not to play for the tie. Shout out Romeo Doubs. He stepped up big time for them this game, obviously. And like, yeah, there were some bonehead plays from Jordan Love in my opinion, but there were good plays he made. At the end of the day, the offense did drop 40 points on these guys, rightfully so, because the Cowboys defense is ass. But I don't know if after seeing these two games, I don't know if it's just playing to their level, if that's the true case. And so far it seems like that. But like, to me, put them as second best team in the conference is kind of tough now. I guess you could still say it because they destroyed the Lions at the end of the day. But again, the Lions are also having two new coordinators one on each side of the ball. So that there was going to be a figuring out period for them when it comes to an official game, and it helped that you're playing the Green Bay Packers. So I don't know. Do you put them second, or do you give it to Detroit or Tampa or whoever?
Well, right now I gotta give them second just because they did destroy the Lions.
Yeah.
But like right now it's not clear cut anymore. That's for sure. When you're looking at it after the first 2 weeks, they're like, oh, they're probably competing for even first.
I still think I'll give it to the Rams.
with the Philadelphia Eagles, but. Right now, yeah, you're looking at Rams and the Lions are in that conversation, and then with the Packers. But it's crazy how they just fell off a little bit here, because after 2 weeks, they're like, oh, it's probably, these guys could be ahead of the Eagles. Yeah, because the Eagles didn't look great.
Yeah,
right.
Even like
especially offense in the passing game.
Brown's causing drama again with like the postseason.
Somehow the Eagles are the most winning but like disconnected team ever.
Yeah,
but it makes no sense to me. But like when I'm looking at it, the Green Bay Packers have been disappointing the last couple of weeks, and they're gonna have to figure out something in the cornerback spot. And then obviously the big concern is like, as long as Jordan Love doesn't turn the football over, which he has done the last 2 games.
If Dallas were to make the playoffs, is Dak your front runner for MVP? After that, if he puts that type of performance,
well, he has to put this. Like, yeah. It's kind of like Joe Burrow.
So it would be MVP.
Kind of like how I picked Joe Burrow to win MVP. I was like, if they make the playoffs, it's because of Joe Burrow being Joe Burrow, right? And if the same case for the Dallas Cowboys, like their defense could be arguably worse than the Cincinnati Bengals, which is absolutely insane to say, but it's true.
You mentioned the Eagles. I'm gonna ask you this question. There's 2 undefeated teams left. If they were to face off each other right now for the Super Bowl, the Buffalo Bills or the Philadelphia Eagles, who are you going with?
I'm going with the Bills. Every part of them, they look like every part of themselves, offensively, defensively. I know defensively, their biggest concern is injuries, but like seeing Joey Bosa have a little bit of success there, seeing James Cook continue what he's doing. He's on this massive touchdown streak from dating from last year. Josh Allen has not dropped a beat. Like you were making the argument that Herbert was your MVP.
Josh Allen
heading into week 4, like for me, is Josh Allen right now.
Yeah, it was between them two.
But when I'm just looking at it, they look every bit connected and they're thriving right now. I know they had a little bit of a scare against the Saints when they were down.
I just feel like they're playing to the level.
But yeah, I think
shout out Saints though. They've kind of like they're winless, but they look.
It's they've been an impressive 0-14.
I want to say impressive because like
we had 0.
Game was brutal, but
every other game was close.
They were fine, yeah.
Well, they were in every single game.
Good. Like Rattler looked like he could play in the NFL.
Oh, for an 0-4 team, they're doing pretty good.
That's funny to say.
But yeah, right now I'm picking the Buffalo Bills. But then again, the Eagles find a way to win games when they have drama. So that's just crazy to say.
Continue it again.
Yeah, so I guess we're probably winning a Super Bowl again.
But to close it out, we have to talk about what's the worst play of the year, probably for the season. I'm banking on it right now. It's kind of like how we said the best game of the year already happened. I'm anticipating this no play to be worse than this. And then unfortunately involves our Colts, who ended up losing this game to the LA Rams, who should have probably won this game. But Adonai Mitchell had the sickest play, one of the sickest wide receiver plays, with a catch and yak, only to ruin his first career touchdown by fumbling the ball at the 1 yard line, a la JT from last year.
So this is weird. First of all, this is the first time ever I'm seeing this type of play live, because last year I did miss the Jonathan Taylor game. But when I'm looking at this, there is zero excuses for what Adonai Mitchell done. There was zero excuses for Jonathan Taylor, right? This is, again, it could be a forgivable moment depending on how the season pans out, for sure.
Or even the game had panned out.
But yeah, like, just like when you're looking at it, if the Colts miss a playoff by one game, you're going to look back at this game. Yeah. But it just, again, it could be forgivable, but it's going to be unforgettable. It's just simple as that.
Yeah.
And the only reason it could be forgivable is, one, because you got to get into some deep work to figure out what do you want to be as a football player. Because right now you have done absolutely jack shit in your career. As simple as that. We're seeing flashes, but we haven't seen any consistency from this guy. We have seen this guy make a good play and a bad play in the same quarter before, and he's done that this game again. And then on top of that, he costed another touchdown with a holding call on Jonathan Taylor's 53-yard touchdown run, and that hold was so unnecessary. You could tell this guy's an emotional player because he did not recover one bit after that moment, and you could tell that the only thing we're looking at is just don't make another stupid play. Just find a way to make a play and don't do anything else stupid. And he found a way to do something else stupid. So this guy was already like the don't check your DM player of the week, the worst player of the week, the worst performance you could quite possibly have seen this year. And he found a way to make it worse, which is very disappointing for me. And then again, like you said, the holding call could be excusable just because he's a young guy, second year in the league. But you can't tell me there is no force field. There is nothing blocking you from walking into an end zone. And the fact that this happened last year and you saw it with your own eyes and you did it, it just makes it so inexcusable that, again, I'm not trying to be hurtful or anything, but he shouldn't be allowed to play football the next 2 to 3 weeks, and he has to figure out his shit because he hasn't done any bit of service to the organization where he has a right to be on that football field next week or the week after that.
Yeah, you're saying that obviously in contrast to Jonathan Taylor, who at the end of the day, Jonathan Taylor was an arguable MVP conversation, obviously Opoi finalist that in 2021. He's had some type of reputation, and some people might say he's on a Hall of Fame trajectory if he keeps playing like this. A.D. Mitchell, yes, did that play alone lost the Colts the game? No.
Yes.
No, okay.
Bro, it's 7 points. It did.
I get it, but my point is that was not the only play that cost the game. It was the biggest play, but I'm looking at the 97-yard drive, 96-yard drive before half. That could have been avoided by the defense. I'm looking at Xavier Howard being on Puka Nacua the whole game. That is a big reason, right? Yes, this is gonna be the biggest one on it. I get it because it's not
the only play, but it's the biggest play.
That's what I meant to say. It's not like the play that cost them the game, right?
It was definitely the biggest play.
Yeah, it was the biggest play that cost them the game because it was literally 6 points given, to, most likely 7, at that point of the game, right? And then the same thing when it comes back to the holding call, because Jonathan Taylor again had his moment like he had in week 2, 3, and this he had the moment right at the end of the day. Yeah, at the end of the day, it's gonna be the worst play of the year. It costed them the game. Hopefully, it does not cost them the playoffs because the Jags look pretty decent, and now they're Colts because of this game. The Colts are tied 3-1. In terms of record, they obviously hold the edge at tiebreaker at the moment. Not sure exactly what that is. It might be just the wins against the AFC teams, but in terms of is he? Shane Steichen said himself that he knows he at least held accountability. Shout out to him. But he knows that he needs to earn his way back. And at the moment, we anticipate Alec Pierce to be back. That was a big reason why he played a lot that game. Obviously, I'm not gonna say you're gonna be like, oh yeah, bench him for like 3 weeks or anything like that. Maybe one game, limited snaps next game at the very least. Because the guy at the end of the day, his talent is still needed on the field in a sense that he's a really good route runner. He could grab space and go on it. But I'm not like it should be on limited plays next week.
It depends. It depends what he does in practice. He's got to absolutely show out if he wants to be on that field. And if he doesn't show out, he doesn't deserve to be on the field next week. It's just simple as that. And there's no limit, at least to one game, no matter what. And honestly, I don't think we're going to be so harsh. This, again, a little bit of my emotion talking. But the reason why I'm not like absolutely yelling is because I know
we had a day to recover as well.
Yeah, that's just the biggest reason why we had a day to recover. Yeah. That's the only reason why. But when I'm looking at, all right, we're going to talk about the Colts, and I'm going to just look at the game itself. The Colts should have won this game. It's just simple as that. There's no convincing me otherwise.
Anyone doesn't need to get cut, because people are saying cut. That was obviously to the extreme.
Yeah.
Xavier Howard needs to get cut.
And here's a reason why, and I'm going to take some positives away, right, from the Colts after I list off a couple negatives. A lot of penalties, a lot of turnovers, and obviously that big drive, that right before halftime where Rico literally pinned him in, and you're like, okay, I'm Max, you should be able to give a field goal only, and even the field goal will be disappointing if you allow it. So those are the three biggest things I'm looking at, and obviously the final play, which again with Tutu Atwell.
10 we forgot about that.
The 10 player one.
Yeah.
But then again, like the mistakes we made shouldn't have even led to that point in the first place. But the positive takeaways I'm going to take from the Colts is like the Rams are considered a Super Bowl contender. It's just simple as that.
Yeah.
And we are us not being at our best last year, Colts style, basically putting him, getting every bit of Puka Nacua's 170, 13 reception and 1 touchdown game, because they needed every bit of that just to beat us when we couldn't generate much offensively, especially in the second quarter and the third quarter.
OPI bullshit.
Whatever, man. That's nothing compared to what happened.
Yeah.
All the other events that happened. So when I'm just looking at it, we saw the Colts play mistake-free football the first 3 weeks and absolutely dominate, right? And obviously edge out a win against the Broncos, who are a good football team, in my opinion. So like that, they beat a good opponent and they beat up on 2 bad opponents. This game should have been a win if they played anything like the first 3 weeks. All right. And when we're looking at Daniel Jones, we saw a couple flaws in this game, and the biggest takeaway I have from Daniel Jones and a thing that he needs to work on now, obviously that we didn't see in the first 3 weeks, is his ability to throw the deep ball accurately, but without giving it away. Because the 2 interceptions he has the first one was simple. If he had a little bit more throw power into it, I thought he should have released it a little bit quicker, like half a second quicker, when I'm looking at the route and the timing of it. And I also thought the ball placement should have been more towards the sideline, leading A.D. Mitchell to the sideline because he was coming across the field instead of, kind of like a jump ball style. And that's number 1. And that's where the deep ball accuracy and the throw power comes in. And number 2 is the ability to hold the safety and not give away where you're throwing the ball. Because in the Michael Pittman double coverage throw, Cam Curl had an easy interception is because the only reason is Cam Curl, the safety, had an easy read on it because you were literally eyeing down Michael Pittman before the snap. Like this guy was literally looking at Pittman the whole way when he got the ball, pre-snap, when he snapped it, and when he threw it. So obviously he's going to get red. So he's going to have to find a way to learn how to hold the safety and be able to throw that ball with conviction. And that's the big takeaway I have from Daniel Jones and in the first 4 weeks and what he needs to work on. And other than that, in my opinion, he was fine. But those 2 picks are like the ones that he should have back and he needs to work on. And he needs to figure that out, because in order for this team to really take that step and be a contender, he's got to be making those plays as well.
For me, okay, going back to the OPI, I still think it was a big deal because that would have put us at the 2.
It was a big deal, but not compared to the other
not
players.
A.D. Mitchell specifically, but I'm just saying like it was
and
a big
Xavier
deal.
Howard.
Yeah. For me, you had everything on the head there. For me, get Jonathan Taylor involved early. You need to get the pass play action rolling, because at the end of the day, Jonathan Taylor's a threat. This game was a game between probably the 2 favorites of OPI at the moment, in my opinion, Jonathan Taylor and Puka Nacua. I don't know if this is on the top of my head. I don't know if you necessarily.
Yeah, no, it's too.
Yeah, right. So for me, a lot of positives. This is gonna be the true test of the Colts' character. Not just A.D. Mitchell, but as a coaching unit and
just bounce back.
and the defense, offense, whatever. Can they bounce back? Yes, you got an easier schedule coming up. You should be able to handle the Raiders. We'll see how that ends up being. But yeah, again, I just need them to get Xavier Howard off the field. Lou needs to put the best guy on the better player. Because the second you put him on Puka, at the end of the day, Devontae Adams got the immediate first reception, right? The touchdown for him was like a miscommunication between Nick Cross and all that pinching stuff. But yeah, overall, we'll see how it ends up rolling.
The takeaways you have for this game is just that you saw two good football teams play a good game against each other, and one just edged out the other. It's just simple as that. As simple as that. And when I'm looking at it, right, the Colts are still a good football team. And 3-1 is an incredible record.
And this is with some major injuries for them.
Exactly. Well. But before we end off this video, I gotta give a little segment and appreciation to Puka Nacua.
Yeah. Okay.
And I'm telling you right now, this is Puka Nacua's stats right now: 42 receptions, 503 yards. He only has that one.
Shout out Xavier Howard. But yeah.
One touchdown, which was in the Colts game.
Yeah.
And even if you want to shout out Xavier Howard, you're going to have to shout out whoever was covering him in Philly because he dropped 11 and 112 there.
Disappointing loss for them.
Whoever was covering him in Houston, I don't know if Stingley was healthy that game or not, but 10 receptions, 130 yards there. And it's weird, the only game he had less than 100 yards was against Tennessee.
Yeah.
But he had a rushing touchdown that game. So when I'm looking at this stats, you're seeing 42 receptions, 503 yards for Puka Nacua, right? The single season receptions record is set by Michael Thomas at 149.
Is he on pace for it?
He is on pace for over 150. Obviously, look, he didn't even play barely a third of a season, and he's already a third of the way there almost. The single season receiving yards, which his former teammate was so close to getting, who was 17 yards away in Cooper Kupp, is set by Megatron, and that is at, I believe, 1,964 yards. He's already at 503. He's already a quarter of a way there. And we're basically a quarter of a way done. The season, he is on pace to hit over 2,000 yards, and he's on pace to hit over 150 receptions. So, right? So here's the thing. And I know this guy's rookie years have been incredible. Last year he was good, but the injuries kind of held back his discussion. And what Jamar Chase and Justin Jefferson are doing were absolutely incredible. But at what point this year, or do we have to wait the whole year, do we start crowning this guy in that conversation of being the best wide receiver in the NFL?
He was already considered top 10 guaranteed. You could say at the beginning of the year, you got Jetta. I'm not in any order. Chase, Jettas, for sure. People had CD in there, fair. AJ Brown, but then we know the targets issue there. I think at this moment he's top 5. Like Nico Collins was maybe slightly ahead of him heading into this year. He's now comfortably ahead of him.
Right now, the two best receivers in football off the top of my head is Puka Nacua and Amon-Ra St. Brown.
This year specifically.
Yeah. And obviously Puka's won by a long shot.
Yeah.
That it's not like this is like a breakout year for Puka. Like obviously he's taking the next level, like next step. Don't get me wrong. But we've been seeing this guy be this dominate
pick as well.
This was a shock.
Yeah.
Like Chase, you expected to be good. Jefferson, you expected not to be that good, but like still really good. So when you're looking at a 5th round pick coming out of, I don't even know what school he went to, but
I think it was BYU.
It was BYU.
Yeah.
It's not a great school in terms of producing receivers.
I mean, I don't know any. So
not the greatest school. It's not like LSU. It's not Ohio State. And shout out JSN, who's having a great year, and not Alabama, right? And he's doing this. It's just absolutely incredible. And right now, if he does keep this pace, and right now every bit of his talent, physicality, ability, the only thing that's stopping is injuries, and hopefully he does stay healthy, knock on wood. And he has the quarterback, he has the offense. And for somehow, some way, getting Devontae Adams increased his production even more.
I was going to say that.
Which was crazy.
I'm going to go to there. First of all, he was also a Husky as well before he became a BYU Cougar, I believe. To close it out here, because obviously I know we've been running for a while, but we have to give, like you said, we have to give him a shout out. Adding Devontae Adams seemed like, it's going to open the game up for like, no, not just like we got Devontae. He's gonna take away his touches is usually the thought, which at the end of the day is not bad because look how good Devontae Adams is. At the end of the day, he got a couple of touchdowns this year himself. But at the same time, you could look at it and be like, hey, Devontae Adams now across, Puka's not gonna get double covered a lot, right? Simple as that. Now it depends on how much. Yeah, if Xavier Howard was on Devontae Adams the whole game, we probably would not have been having this conversation today. I'll be frank with you. If Xavier Howard was on Devontae Adams the whole game.
Yeah, okay, so we won't be having this conversation to this extent because I don't think he would have gone 13 receptions and 170. But I still think he would have gone over 100 yards.
Yeah, it's fine.
For sure.
I'm not denying anything you said. I'm giving him his flowers. I know I sounded negative there. But the point is, like, Devontae Adams now being on the other side, getting him unlocked him even more, in my opinion. Because, like, you double him, Devontae Adams and a cookie. I don't care how old he is. He's still... some teams, he could still be a number one. Obviously, in this team, he's a clear number two behind Puka, and there's no shame about that. But that's why I think now heading this year, it's official. These two are it's the best tandem in the NFL in terms of wide receiver tandems, right?
Well, it's unfortunate Burrow's injured, but yeah.
Yeah, I know, true. But what my point is, like, what Puka's doing. Yeah, he might be breaking records, and it sucks that it might come at the expense of Jonathan Taylor not winning an OPOY because this guy's going nuts. But it's gonna be a fun race to see between the two at the moment, unless Justin Jefferson steps up, which he had a good game overseas. There
so last time Taylor was in conversation with OPOY, he was up against a Rams receiver, and Cooper Kupp was 4 receptions away and 17 yards away of breaking both of those records. And right now, Puka Nacua, if he does keep this pace up and Matthew Stafford keeps on spamming whatever the X button or a square if you're on a PlayStation in Madden, because that's what this feels like right now, Madden Superstar mode for Puka Nacua, then he's on his way of breaking a record that hasn't been broken for this team. The yards record that a lot of people have come close but haven't fully has broken it.
In my opinion, this team was the best team in the NFL for me. The way they lost to the Eagles, shout out to the Eagles for opening up their offense the way they did and then not use it afterwards properly. But if they had won that game, I think by far this was the best team in the conference. That's just me. But again, shout out to the people in the NFC West in general, especially the Seahawks, what they're doing there. It's going to be a fun division race to see going because there's a lot of good teams down there. But that pretty much wraps it up for us. Comment down below what you guys think, or is the biggest storyline after week 4? Is it the Baltimore Ravens? Is it Puka Nacua? You let us know in the comments. As we mentioned before, hit the subscribe button. We'll be dropping more every week a reaction of each NFL season, so you guys do not want to miss that. And other than that, we'll catch you guys on the next one.
Peace.